Hey guys, welcome back to Game of Constellations. This is a very special video today because we're going to be discussing what's in store for 2023. Basically, we're going to run through each and every ascendant for 2023. And even before you actually skip the introduction and just jump into the ascendant part, which you're most interested in, I must say that it's very important that you listen to the introduction because only the introduction is going to help you to understand how you actually assess those 4 or 5 points that I'm going to say about every single ascendant. So let's begin with that. What exactly is happening in 2023? If you see, there are two major transits that are going to take place. One is basically Saturn's movement permanently into Aquarius. And here again, remember that I am talking only on the sidereal system, which is the Vedic system, and not the tropical system. So you need to listen to me only if you are following the Vedic system of astrology, which basically right now Saturn is in Capricorn and it is going to move into Aquarius in the next month. So for next year, as I said, there are two major transits. One is Saturn's movement permanently into Aquarius, and second, you have Rahu and Jupiter going to meet each other in Aries. So for example, Jupiter, Rahu, Saturn, so you have these three planets which are going to kind of link with each other next year, and this is going to be a very important thing for the world because this means a lot of changes. And why is that? So point number one, let's focus on Rahu because 2023 is going to be all about Rahu. So the key thing here is when you assess your ascendant, let's say you're a Capricorn ascendant, you will have to go into your chart and see what exactly is happening to Rahu. Where is Rahu transiting in your chart? Well, of course, it is transiting in Aries, but you'll have to check which house does Aries fall into your chart because Rahu is going to dominate 2023. That is rule number one of 2023's predictions. Number two is Rahu and Jupiter are going to meet, which is going to form a Guru Chandal Yoga. So basically, Jupiter is going to lose its complete sattvic nature when Rahu comes in contact, and at the same time, Rahu is going to lose its malalis nature when it meets Jupiter. So this is a very important trigger point for the world because this is going to bring in a lot of changes. What kind of changes? First thing, you can see that a lot of politicians in this world who want to win the elections and who want to sit on the throne, they are going to be deceiving. So people out there, if you want to go out and vote, please think before you vote. Think about which leader can make your country better before you vote because Rahu is going to induce this malalis nature into Jupiter, wherein Jupiter is the planet that controls ministry, strategy, governance. And so Rahu is going to play its own games there, and it's going to bring down Jupiter's dharmic nature or sattvic nature, and which is why you need to be really careful. And let's speak about Saturn moving into Aquarius. This is a very big change because all this while you saw the world shaken up in politics and with all the wars going on, with so much of financial issues, with so much of I would say burden on every single country because you see recession is kicking into every single country because of XYZ reasons. But now when Saturn moves into Aquarius, you will see that Saturn is going to bring in humanitarian belief systems. So you will start seeing that not only big organizations will try to pump more money in towards rescuing people from this bizarre situation that we are in, but you will also see common man, common people trying to pitch in more money. So most of them will want to contribute towards charity. They will want to say, okay, let me go out there and see if there is, like a blind school that runs maybe just 50 blind people there in it, and I want to just contribute. I want to go every month and spend some amount of my money there because I feel I'm contributing to it. And you'll see the world will start moving into this energy because Saturn in Aquarius, it brings in a whole different dimension of service, charity, of how mankind can connect with each other because of the fact that they feel, well, somebody else needs help, so I need to help. And that's what Saturn is going to bring in. And then the third most important point is related to climate change, related to what's happening around in the world because of the war or because of COVID and because of the other natural calamities. 2023 is going to be this year where you'd see things shifting, because if you see my very first video on the channel, when I did the eclipse video, I had spoken about the Earth's orbit having to change in 2023. You can watch my video. It's right in the channel. It's the very first video that I've made. This was about 2 years ago. So that's when I've already mentioned that 2023 will have its own changes. So the Earth's orbit will change. And what does this mean for all of us? It's climate change. So countries that were seeing drought will now start to see something else slowly. Countries that were seeing loads and loads of rain or countries that experienced high temperatures will now slowly start to see some other issues apart from that issue, because the orbit is changing. The Earth will start to shift. And you'll start to see all this happening starting from April 2023 and moving on probably for the next decade or two. That is somewhere like 2043. You can see it. In these next 20 years, you will start to see these changes. And all this is going to start triggering in 2023. So 2023 is a very important year. And as I said, even before you straight jump into your video, even before you see which ascendant is yours and you want to see what's happening in 2023 and how you can benefit from it, remember, you have to go and see where the North Node is sitting in your chart or transiting in your chart, because North Node, that is nothing but Rahu, is going to play the most important role in 2023. So if you're a Gemini ascendant, if you're Sagittarius ascendant, go ahead and assess your chart holistically, but equally give importance to the transit of Rahu that is going to make you understand how this year is going to turn out to be. And I've majorly covered the points for every single ascendant based on that as well, so you don't have to brainstorm again and try to assess what I'm saying. But the key is look at Rahu's transit, and that's going to give you answers for your beautiful 2023. Aries ascendant, well, you need to look at it, as I mentioned already, Rahu is very important. So Rahu for Aries ascendant this year is going to go to your first house, to your ascendant. So it's going to take control of your chart. And you have Jupiter in Pisces, which is also going to go to Aries and basically conjunct with Rahu. So what is all this going to mean? Because then Saturn here, which was in your 10th house, moves to the 11th house. So the first thing you see here is this year Aries ascendant is all about innovation, because Rahu is going to demand that innovative energy from you to put innovation into every single thing that you want to. So let's say you have to start something new in your life. You want to quit your job that you've been doing and you want to start a business, or you want to go partnership with somebody else. But whatever it takes, Aries ascendant, you have to realize that innovation is going to be your key for this year, because Rahu is going to demand this from you. And at the same time, you're going to have a very reserved network, because Saturn goes into your 11th house. 11th house is the house of hopes, wishes, desires, and also the network house, which means that Saturn is now going to make you a very reserved person. You would not want to meet a lot of people in 2023. You would just have a small circle of your comfort zone whom you would discuss with, whether it's business, whether it's friendship, whether it's just on a day-to-day conversation. But then this is how Saturn is going to influence you, because it happens to sit in the 11th house. Now, the third point for Aries ascendant is this year, I recommend you to focus your energy towards knowledge, because knowledge is something that is going to be not so easy to achieve this year. So you will have to try your best to put yourself in the position to go ahead and ask for knowledge. And why am I saying this? Again, because Jupiter and Rahu, which is the North Node, is conjunct in your ascendant, which means you have the Guru Chandal Yoga forming right on your ascendant. So this is already demanding you to basically focus towards knowledge, to basically gain that higher knowledge, and that level of intuition will also walk in as you start seeking for more knowledge. And finally, you need to be a little bit careful with your relationships. When I say relationships, it's not just the opposite partner, or it's not just your spouse. It's a relationship on a whole on a whole new level. It could be your friend, your father, your mother, your sibling. It could be anybody, but then that relationship really needs care this year because Aries Ascendant, you need to understand, Rahu Jupiter is going to look at your 7th house. It has its drishti on your 7th house, which is going to exert a lot of stress on the 7th house. And 7th house is what? Is other people, your friends, is your spouse, if you're married, it's your wife or your husband. So you need to really channelize your energies this year and focus a lot. But otherwise, it's definitely a good year for you, Aries Ascendant. All right, Taurus Ascendant. Let's see what you have in store for this year. Firstly, you see Rahu is moving now into your 12th house. So Rahu's transiting your 12th house, and Jupiter is going to walk into that 12th house and say, I'm going to form the Guru Chandala Yoga in the 12th house. So as I've said in the beginning of my video, Rahu is going to be very key here to assess, and you'll have to give more importance to Rahu's transit for 2023. Having said that, you also have Saturn moving into your 10th house of career, 10th house of karma. So let's see what you have in store and what are the points that are going to make it count for Taurus Ascendant. The first thing is there's going to be a very huge karma with foreign lands. Why foreign lands? Simply because Rahu and Jupiter are sitting in your 12th house, especially in the sign of Aries, where Jupiter gains that strength and Rahu also acts like Mars, which means that you're going to put a lot of energy, a lot of effort in going to foreign lands, or in trying to deal with something to do with foreign lands. And that's going to play a major role for you. And for those who think, well, I'm actually not planning to go to foreign lands, I'm not doing anything foreign, then you can see yourself having some connections with asylums, hospitals, jails even, depending on your chart's position and depending on some of the planets in your chart. And you can also see some of them trying to connect to spirituality, who want to just walk away from this mundane life of making money towards actually doing charity service and trying to see or trying to gain that relationship, you know, with this supreme power that they believe that exists on this planet. So that's another point for Taurus Ascendant. And number 2, battles will be won this year. And what do I mean by battles will be won this year? So you can see for Taurus Ascendant, your 12th house is now very powerful, which is looking at the 6th house of enemies. So this year, you might have a lot of open enemies fighting against you, but you will win the battle. You will make sure that you overpower your enemies. And this can be in any form, in any factor. It can just be you filing a court case against somebody or a lawsuit against somebody and winning it. Or this could just simply be just a verbal contradictory agreement that you have with somebody and you simply win that agreement. But this year, Taurus Ascendant, is a very good year to win battles. And the third thing is your career gets a boost. Why? Because your 9th lord, your Yoga Karaka Saturn, is now walking into your 10th house of career. And look, Saturn owns the 10th house and also owns the zodiac sign of Aquarius. So Saturn now becomes very comfortable here. It starts giving more disciplined results. So you can see that career gets a boost. Although, because of Saturn's quality, you get progressive boost. Saturn doesn't give anything in just, you know, just so easily. It doesn't give anything to you. It will say, look, I want you to work hard. I want you to put all the effort into this, and then here you go. This is your money. So this year, Taurus Ascendant, the harder you work, the more money you're going to get. And that's what you need to understand. And finally, you can have a bit of trust issues with your network this year. What do I mean by that? All these years, you can be at any age group, especially, I mean, this is especially going to affect the age group of somewhere between 16 and 42. And this is the age group where if you fall into this category, you're going to start not trusting some of the people whom you used to trust regularly. This quality is going to walk into you because of these existing transits for this year. But then you need to stick on to your gut feeling, because you need to make the right decision of who's going to be a good friend to you or who's not going to be a good friend to you. But overall, this year, you are going to have trust issues. You have to deal with that. And that's going to be one of your karmas to deal with for this year. But otherwise, as I said, it's a very good year. You will win over your enemies. You will win the battle. So good year for Taurus Ascendant. What does Gemini Ascendant have in store for this year? Firstly, you can see that Rahu and Jupiter form the Guru Chandala Yoga in your 11th house. And what does this mean? This means that you're going to fulfill your hopes, wishes and desires this year, because the yoga is going to be very powerful in the 11th house, and 11th house in Vedic astrology is known as Upachaya house, and more malefic aspect or conjunction or even malefic connection with the 11th house is always going to benefit the 11th house. And that's the key way of reading this. And again, why? Because I told in the beginning of my video that Rahu is going to be the most important planet to observe for this year. So Rahu going to the 11th house with Jupiter is going to really bring you good results, Gemini Ascendant. But let's look at the overall points that you have for this year. First thing, you need to put more effort this year. And why is that? Because look at the Saturn transit. Your 8th lord, Shani or Saturn, which owns the 8th house and 9th house, is now moving into the 9th house, which means you will have to put a lot more effort in trying to reap benefits in your life. So you will have to put that extra step, that extra effort in attaining anything you want. It could just simply be passing out from a degree that you want to pass out, but you will have to put a lot of effort in trying to get those marks that'll help you pass out. Or it can simply be trying to get a small promotion at your workplace, but you'll have to put massive efforts to getting that small promotion, and this is because of your current Saturn transit. But hang on, you have some more good news, and that is it's a good time for relationships. It's a very good time if you want to meet a new person, if you want to walk into somebody's life, if you want to make new friends. It's a very good time. In fact, the existing relationship between your family members that you've grown up with, or even external family, will actually be very healthy this year. So this year is a good year, a fruitful year for building relationships, cherishing the memories you have with those relationships. And another point is health needs care. So this year, although you want to go out there and put that energy out and do everything, pay attention to your health. Make sure that you keep your health intact. And this is because at some point when you see in your chart Rahu and Jupiter in that 11th house, although they're going to help you financially, although they're going to help you with the network, it can be taken aback because of their health. And finally, for Gemini Ascendant, it's an excellent year for innovation. So you wanna try something new. This is the year for you to try. So overall, a decent year for Gemini Ascendant. And then let's see what Cancer Ascendant people have in store. The first thing you need to observe is Rahu sits in your 10th house of your ascendant, basically your chart basically, and this is in conjunction with Jupiter. So the Guru Chandala Yoga that I explained in the beginning of the video applies to you in your 10th house, which means you have an elevated 10th house for 2023, which is going to help you in your career, your reputation in the society, and simply just helping you to carry anything that you want to do for the coming years. So let's look at the 4 main points that we've outlined now for Cancer Ascendant. The first thing is you're going to have a very big karma with yourself. And why is that? Why is that karmic reaction coming to yourself? Because your 7th Lord Saturn is now transiting the 8th house, which is basically Saturn moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. And this is going to definitely bring in a lot of stress for this year, because you will now start to doubt yourself. You will not have confidence in yourself. But at the same time, you have a very good year for your career because of Jupiter and Rahu. So you need to deal with facing some of the karmic reactions in which you're going to go through yourself. But then that is going to help you to achieve that career success. And that's going to achieve helping you to get to a better reputation than you actually have right now. And the other thing is, my recommendation to Cancer Ascendant for this year is start small and invest less. Because this year Saturn's going into the 8th place of your chart, which is called Ashtama Shani in Vedic astrology, which means that Saturn is going to teach you to not easily invest money everywhere, because you're going to lose it. So you want to do something, start something small. You want to invest less. Do not try to make major investments. Do not try to gamble a lot this year, because Cancer Ascendant, financially, you have to be very careful this year. And finally, there is going to be some kind of karma with your children, with your ancestors this year, because you can see that Saturn, when it moves into your 8th house, it kind of affects your 5th house of your chart with its 10th aspect. So you need to be very wary about the karmic reactions that you can get from Saturn. So spend as much time as you can with your children. Make sure you build a very good relationship with your children, because this can turn out to be a very karmic reaction to you at some point if you don't bond with your children, if you don't have that reaction with them, if you don't have that connection with them. So otherwise, a decent year for Cancer Ascendant. So for Leo Ascendant, what do we have in store for Leo Ascendant this year? Let's see. Firstly, Saturn is going to move into your 7th house, which itself tells me that you're going to have a very, very heavy year with respect to your spouse, partner, or the person whom you're in a relationship with. Number 2, you have a good news that Jupiter and Rahu form that Guru Chandala Yoga in your 9th house. And what is 9th house in Vedic astrology? It is the house of good fortune. It is the house which is going to give you all that you want. And that is why this year is going to be definitely a very, very decent year for Leo Ascendant. But again, let's look at all the points that we have for Leo Ascendant this year. Number 1, this year is going to be actually a good year for name, fame, and recognition. So go for it. You wanna go and do that social media thing this year, or you want to go put out that business idea you have, or you just want to go and get yourself a new job. But then whatever you do, go for it, because this year you're going to get that name, fame, and recognition. Number 2, health needs a bit attention. So health needs definitely a bit of attention, because this year, Leo Ascendant, you have to help yourself. You will have to really help yourself, because last year was a year where you had to focus more on how you can deal with your career. But this year, you'll have to focus more on your health. You will have to start setting in that daily routine and make sure that you have a healthy lifestyle, which is going to help you succeed in the other things that you want to do. So take care. Number 3, father can play a very important role actually this year for Leo Ascendants. So make sure that your relationship with your father is a very healthy, strong, and a good one. And finally, relationships will be heavy. I already said in the beginning of the video for Leo Ascendants that because of the Saturn's movement into the 7th house, it's going to be pretty heavy. But remember one thing, if you are not in a relationship, and if you're going to get into a relationship, you will surely get a person who is very committed, somebody who wants to be in this relationship for a long term, not for short term. So that way, you're going to be very lucky if you get into a relationship this year, Leo Ascendant. But look, everything is going to come in with that bit of karma. So it is going to be stressful, but overall a very good year for Leo Ascendant. So Virgo Ascendant, what do you have for this year? Virgo Ascendant, this year is going to be a year that you normally would not want it to be, because Virgos are more practical. They want things to be on a daily basis. But look, this year the transits are a bit different. You have Saturn moving into your 6th house of your chart, and Jupiter and Rahu having that Guru Chandala Yoga formed in the 8th house of your chart. What does all this say? You can see that two Dushtana houses are activated, the 6th and the 8th. This simply means that this year your energy, your focus is going to be on the mystical side. So the 4 points that I've laid out for you is, 1, you're going to have a good year for all the mystical side of things. If you want to learn astrology, if you want to learn science, hidden science, if you want to learn about the things that usually people don't teach about, it's a good year. Number 2, your enemies will be quite strong this year, but at the same time, the more you focus your energies on mystical things and spiritual things, the more you're going to benefit. Number 3, relationship needs care. What do I mean by this? This year, Virgo Ascendant, you can just be a bit too irritable, headstrong, and you might just say certain things to people whom you love and they might just get hurt. So make sure, be careful what you speak, and this year you will see that all these people are just going to support you, and because of which your year is going to get better. So make sure you're sweet and nice to everybody who's already been with you. And finally, this is the best year actually for getting into spirituality, as I mentioned in the beginning. So Virgo Ascendant, the more you can be spiritual this year and the more you try to connect, the better for you. So Libra Ascendant, what do you have in store for this year? Let's look at it. Firstly, Saturn moves into your 5th house of your chart, and then you have the Guru Chandala Yoga, the Jupiter and Rahu conjunction happening in the 7th house. What does this mean for you? Remember, Rahu's position is important, as I said in the beginning of the video. So Firstly, I have 4 points laid out for you. That is, pay more attention to your health this year. Why? Because Jupiter and Rahu sitting in your 7th house is, although going to help you achieve name and fame this year, you're going to exert a lot of energy this year. You're going to do more than what you can do, and this is going to hit your health. So pay more attention to your health this year. Number 2, relationships can kind of be filled with ego. And this is not Rahu that is causing the problem in the 7th house. Because, well, you would assume that when I'm saying relationships, it's all about the 7th house because the Guru Chandala Yoga is in the 7th house. Yes, that's correct. But Rahu is actually helping you. But whereas Jupiter in the 7th house forming this yoga is going to be the problem. It's going to create that ego. It's going to bring that ego in this relationship. So you need to help. You need to help yourself this year by lowering down your ego. Even if you think your partner is showing you a lot of ego, that's fine. Take it. It's going to be a brilliant year for you. And finally, actually I have another point, not finally, I have 2 more points for Libra Ascendant. That is karma with children. This year you're going to have a lot of karma with children. So make sure that you try and connect well with your children. If you already have children, and for those who don't have children, then this can be a time that you might give birth to one. Because look, Saturn is your original 5th lord that is transiting in the 5th house. And this is Saturn's own house, which is very favorable compared to the previous house, because look, there's always a difference in Saturn transiting Capricorn and Saturn transiting Aquarius. Saturn is more comfortable in Aquarius. It's more relaxed. It wants to give in Aquarius, whereas in Capricorn it wants to take. It wants you to put more effort. So this year is a good year in terms of children, trying to, if you want to give birth to children, or if you already have children, then trying to connect with them, spending time with them. So very important year, and that karma is going to outplay, you can see that playing for the rest of the year. So very important with that. And then finally, your siblings will support you this year. So this year you're going to have a very strong connection with your siblings. It could be because of the Jupiter and Rahu's conjunction that's happening in your chart. And this is going to elevate your relationship with your sibling. So make sure your relationship with siblings are great, because they're going to support you. They're going to have your back this year. So overall, a very good year for Libra Ascendant too. So Scorpio Ascendant, what do you have in store for this year? Let's see. Firstly, Saturn moves into your 4th house of your chart. And then Jupiter and Rahu form this Guru Chandala Yoga in the 6th house of your chart. So remember, Rahu is very important here, as I said in the beginning of my video. What's happening in your chart? Let's see. The first thing, personal happiness can be affected this year, because Saturn, when it goes into the 4th house, gets disturbed, starts affecting your personal happiness. So you need to try and do many activities to make yourself feel happy this year. And number 2, try to be spiritual, because you have this yoga forming in the 6th house, which is having direct drishti on the 12th house of your chart. So the more you look at the 12th house, the more basically Jupiter and Rahu look at the 12th house, the more they're trying to tell you, hey, go be spiritual. And then you'll start to see that your year starts getting better and better for you. Number 3, you're going to have strong enemies, simply because you can see Jupiter and Rahu in the 6th house, and that's the zodiac sign of Mars, which means that Jupiter gains strength there. And this is going to bring in enemies as well. So your enemies are going to be strong. But hey, listen, you are going to fight your enemies this year, and you will do it pretty well. Why? Because you have Saturn transiting in the 4th house of Aquarius, and your 4th house of Aquarius. Remember, whenever Saturn is transiting 4th house, it strengthens, although it affects your personal happiness, it actually strengthens your support system. It strengthens your family's energies. So your family is going to have your back. The ones whom you've grown with, the ones, your extended family, it could be not just your parents and your siblings, but the extended family can also come together and say, look, we're going to have your back and we're going to support you this year. So you're going to definitely have a lot of support this year, although your enemies are going to be strong. And finally, you need to focus on yourself. Scorpio Ascendant, you need to focus on yourself. Because look, normally the Scorpio energy is always, a bit haywire, and you're someone who wants that, adventurous kind of lifestyle. But look, this year, focus on yourself. Ask yourself really what you want. Go and get that. Overall, good year for Scorpio Ascendant. So, Sagittarius Ascendant, what do you have in store for this year? Let's see. Firstly, Saturn moves into your third house in your chart, which is very strong position for Saturn this year. Number 2, what's happening to the conjunction? Jupiter and Aries, they are forming the Guru Chandala Yoga in your 5th house. And remember, I told you Rahu is very important. Look at the position of Rahu for 2023, and that is what is going to speak about your result. So this is a very good yoga in your 5th house, because the 5th house is a very dharmic house. So let's see what points you have in store this year. 1, it's a very good time with respect to children. So if you plan to have a baby, or if you plan to give birth to children, go for it. And also, children bring good news. If you already have children, you will see that your children will start to bring you good news. Number 2, keep very positive energy in the house, because look, this year you really need to spread out that positive energy around you. You can't keep living in this negative energy that you were living in from the last 1 year. So you gotta rise up, Sagittarius Ascendant. You have to spread that positivity and ensure that you make this year count for you. Number 3, it's actually a very good time for business, any entrepreneurship activities, anything that you want to start, a very good time for you. And finally, the more you try to spend time away this year, basically trying to go abroad or trying to be alone, this year is going to bring you some really good benefit, because the farther you stay away from the house, the more benefit you get, Sagittarius Ascendant, this year. And that's the key for this year. That's where you have to focus. Otherwise, a very decent year for Sagittarius Ascendant. So Capricorn Ascendant, what do you have in store for this year? Let's see. Firstly, Saturn moves into your 2nd house of Aquarius, and then Jupiter and Rahu form this Guru Chandala Yoga in your 4th house. So remember, Rahu is very important here, because Rahu is going to determine how 2023 goes for you. So what does all this say? What are the points that I have for you? Well, firstly, remember, your focus for this year is going to be family, savings, and the values that you carry from your family. So a very good year in terms of bonding and connecting with your family. Number 2, it's a very good time actually to purchase a house, or to actually invest in a house, because this year you can see that yoga of Jupiter and Rahu forming in the 4th house in the zodiac sign of Aries, which is going to give you that strength and that courage to go ahead and actually invest in a house or purchase a house. So really good time. Number 3, relationship with siblings actually needs some care, because this year you might tend to have a little, a rough patch with your siblings. So make sure that you try and avoid it, and you simply have to put more efforts into it, and that's all. And number 4, finally, this year can be a little bit karmic in terms of career. And why is that? Because Saturn, which sits in your Saturn that is transiting to your 2nd house, is going to create this, because it's your ascendant lord. And usually for a Capricorn Ascendant, when Saturn moves into Aquarius, you will see that now this person, from a more disciplined mindset, will start to be a bit more relaxed. And this is why you really need to focus on your career. You can't take your career lightly this year, Capricorn Ascendant, but otherwise a decent year for you. So Aquarius Ascendant, let's see what you have in store for this year. So firstly, your Saturn, which was in the 12th house, moves into your Ascendant, a very big change. Number 2, Jupiter and Rahu conjunct and form the Guru Chandala Yoga in your 3rd house. And remember, Rahu is very important. I told you in the beginning, for 2023, watch placement of Rahu. So what is all this going to say? What is it for you? Let's see. Number 1, remember, this year when Saturn moves into your Ascendant, maturity kicks in. Saturn is going to make you feel more mature now. Saturn says, hey, I actually need to really think how much I'm spending, what I'm doing. And Saturn wants you to put more effort into that. Saturn wants you to say, hey, look, you just can't keep burning all this money. You need to cut down your expenses, or you need to think the right way. So that is number 1. Number 2, strong sense of willpower. So this year for Aquarius Ascendant, you will see that you have a very strong sense of willpower. You will want to push yourself. You will want to cross the line, cross the boundary, and walk into this phase of like, okay, I'm ready to take any risks that I want to take. Number 3, you need to try to save more, Aquarius Ascendant. You need to try to save more, because this has a direct connection with your reputation for this year. So try and put more efforts in saving money. Your income is going to be stable, but then remember, you have to save. The more you save, the better for you this year. And Finally, this is going to be a very karmic year towards your reputation. So make sure you don't speak anything that you're not supposed to speak, and you don't behave in a very rigorous and a crazy way, because this year can really pull down your reputation. So that is the only thing that you'll have to watch out, Aquarius Ascendant, but otherwise you have a very good year. So Pisces Ascendant, last but not the least, what do you have in store for this year? Let's see. Firstly, Saturn is moving into Aquarius, into your 12th house, and then you have Jupiter and Rahu forming the Guru Chandala Yoga in the 2nd house. And remember, Rahu's position is very important because Rahu is the kingmaker for 2023. So what does all this say for you? I have 4 points for you. 1, it's a very good year for you in terms of your name and fame, and in terms of savings. And why is that? Because look, Pisces Ascendant, watch, Jupiter and Rahu are forming this yoga in your 2nd house of income, 2nd house of savings. So this is happening in the zodiac sign of Mars, and you see Mars is your yoga karaka. So this is a very good year in terms of making money, in terms of wealth, in terms of trying to save more. Good year. Also good year in terms of family, good year in terms of bonding with your family this year. The second point I have is foreign lands become very karmic. And why is that? Simply because Saturn transits the 12th house. Remember, Saturn is the owner of the 12th house, and now Saturn is moving into your 12th house. So Saturn is going to bring in some kind of karma that you have to deal with foreign lands. Not necessarily that you have to go to foreign lands, but you can deal with foreign lands. Something with respect to foreign lands is going to walk in, and you will have to deal with it. So be ready for it, Pisces Ascendant. Number 3, you will see your health improving this year. Compared to last year, you will see your health improving. So keep up the good work, continue what you're doing, and focus on your day-to-day activities, because it's a good year for you to capitalize on many other things. So keep the good health going, and you'll start seeing how your normal activities, your day-to-day activities start becoming better and better. And finally, a career change can be expected for Pisces, because this year you see the yogas being formed includes your Ascendant Lord and your 10th Lord, so which is basically Jupiter for Pisces Ascendant, because it rules the 1st house and the 10th house, and that is forming the yoga in the 2nd house. So expect a career change, because Rahu, again, what is Rahu? It's innovation. Rahu is going to bring in something new, so watch out for that. Otherwise, it's going to be a very decent year for Pisces Ascendant as well. Okay guys, with this I'd like to end my video, because now I've completed all the ascendants. Hope you really liked my video. Hope this is going to add a lot of value to you for 2023. And once again, I wish every single person who's watching this video a very, very happy new year, and God bless you all. And please don't forget, like my video, subscribe to this channel, and if you have any comments, please drop your comments there. Goodbye.